Hey guys, it's the Vigilant Christian Mario here with another introductory video for my channel. This one is going to introduce you guys to one of the subjects I'm going to be diving in very deeply here, and that's to expose the New Age movement. I know from personal experience, I was participating in the movement for a good 7 to 8 years, and we'll talk about that later. But it's such a pleasure, guys, to be explaining this to you guys, and hopefully that you can hear my warning and not go down this path. And you can save yourself a lot of trouble. So let's dive right into this, guys. First of all, what is the New Age movement? Just for those who don't know, the New Age movement has many subdivisions, but is generally a collection of Eastern influence, metaphysical thought systems, a conglomeration of theologies, hopes, and expectations held together with an eclectic teaching of salvation, of correct thinking, and correct knowledge. It is a theology of feel-goodism, universal tolerance, and moral relativism. All right, guys. So the New Age movement really, it's all-encompassing. You can be from any religious background. You can be a witch, voodoo doctor, quote-unquote Christian, Buddhist. You can be any of these things and have New Age beliefs integrated into you, and you can get along with other New Agers, and there's not much disagreement. One of the main held ideas and theologies is that all paths lead to God, and like I've discussed in my biblical video, that's not the truth, but that's what they pertain to, and that's what I believe for a very long time in my life. So guys, what I'm speaking from is actually personal experience. Just give you a background, I was actually in the process of becoming a yoga teacher myself, and this is how I got heavily involved into the New Age movement. It was by practicing yoga and reading text referring to spirituality that led me into this experience, guys. So in this channel, we're definitely going to talk about the dangers of yoga, guys. And I know that might be shocking, but spiritually, this is absolute suicide, okay? You're going to absolutely ruin any chance of having a relationship with the true God, and we're definitely going to touch on that in a few videos. Also going to touch on meditation, something I practiced religiously for years, guys, and going to touch on that. Also, guys, we're going to touch on Reiki. If you guys are familiar with Reiki, it's something that I was utilizing all the time. I practice it myself, and also received Reiki therapy from practitioners. And like I said, I wouldn't advise any of this stuff, guys. Also, I was an auto writer, okay? So what I would do is I would meditate and get into a certain state of consciousness, which would then I would feel this presence or this energy field take control and actually begin writing through me. I wrote some poetry which was far exceeding my capabilities, and that's what automatic writing is. You're allowing the spirit to work through you, okay? And like we've seen in the Illuminati videos that I've created, that is how these famous artists are writing their music, guys. Okay, so they're allowing the demons, the fallen angels, the spirits to speak through them. Okay, guys. One thing I was heavily into is ascended masters. Okay, so I actually was a channel myself. I communicated with over 30 spirit guides, and they came to me and presented themselves as ascended masters, as human beings who have lived in past lifetimes, and because of the level of consciousness they were able to access, they reached the point of godhood. Okay, and this is kind of the teachings that they teach you. I was in communication with over 30 of these type of spirit guides, and I would do this. There's different ways that I would do it, and we'll discuss in the bit. But what I want to stress is the point that the Bible teaches that Satan, Lucifer, can appear as an angel of light. So the thing is, these quote-unquote angels, and they are angels, they're just fallen angels, would appear to me in this form almost. Okay, so they would look very wise, unbelievably wise, eternal, powerful beings, and that's who I would communicate with. And the reality is they're fallen angels. Okay, so they disguise themselves as these benevolent beings, whether it's they're here from planet Sirius, or the Pleiades, or they're, whatever it is. There's all sorts of different forms that they're manifesting themselves as, but ultimately at their core, these are fallen angels that are deceiving humanity, guys. Okay, so if you're in communication with them, you need to absolutely stop. Okay. One of the ways that I would access communication to the spirit realm and these spirit beings was through tarot card reading. That, guys, and there's a reason in the Bible, guys. All this stuff is forbidden and told us not to, because we're not meant to communicate with these beings. You're opening yourself up to absolute spiritual deception when you practice these things. And this was actually in one of my tarot decks. Obviously, this has been added into here, guys, but just to give you an idea, there's all sorts of occult symbology in the New Age movement. It's nothing new, guys, okay? This is just ancient paganism, ancient Luciferianism, just repackaged in modern times here, guys. Another huge thing that I got sucked into was the idea of the 2012 awakening, that humanity was going to reach a point that we would ascend, that we would all reach a level of consciousness that would allow for a vibrational shift in the universe. I mean, realistically, we didn't even know how scientifically this was going to occur. There's all sorts of different pseudosciences and beliefs about how this can occur. But I truly believe this. I believe that this big, massive awakening was going to come, that we were going to ascend into gods. Because the fallen angels, that's what they told me, is that I was a god. Which is essentially the number one lie that they like to use. If you look back at the garden, ye shall be as gods, is the lie of the serpent. Okay, so these fallen angels are always trying to convince us that we are gods. And if you look here, 2012 transformation of consciousness, again, just the occult symbols and everything. You're seeing the Eye of Horus and Egyptian pagan symbols, guys. So this movement is not something to be participating in. One of the things I did heavily, we're going to talk about it, is astrology. I was making birth charts for people. I was asking my spirit guides to help me in helping others to discover what astrology said about that individual. Also, numerology goes hand in hand, basically. So we're definitely going to be talking about those things and why you should be avoiding those things. One experience that I went through, I'm going to help a lot of people on, is I went through what's called the dark night of the soul in the occult New Age movement. It's basically, not everyone who has a quote-unquote occult New Age awakening goes through this, but I definitely did, and it was actually pretty scary. So for 3-4 years at the very beginning, it was just hell on earth. There was physiological symptoms that I was experiencing, psychological, spiritual. And looking back on it, guys, because I had opened the door so big to these spiritual beings, they were now starting to attack me and to drive me nuts, essentially. And that's what the Dark Night of the Soul is. That has nothing to do with a mystical transformation or anything that it claims to. So I'm definitely going to speak and make videos on that. Big time, the law of attraction, guys. This needs to be exposed. This is just repackaged witchcraft, guys. Okay, so basically, if you're not familiar, law of attraction says that you have the power of thought to attract into your life cards, money, relationships, anything that you desire. And these are all just, the reason this is so powerful, guys, is because it picks at those very fleshly, carnal desires that you have. Okay, and that's why it's so easy for Lucifer to use this to deceive you guys. And you don't even know where this stuff comes from. Okay, you don't even investigate, because if you really do, you would find that a major person who brought this law of attraction into culture is Esther Hicks. Okay, and she was a channeler. She channeled a spirit guide who called himself Abraham. Okay, and Abraham, her spirit guide, told her everything about the law of attraction, that she was part of the secret, and she wrote her own books on the law of attraction that I read and stuff. And it's just a bunch of garbage. She channeled it from demons who are lying to her. She has no idea. She's deceived. And honestly, we need to pray for her. And don't listen to those books, guys. Going to definitely be talking about chakras, guys. Don't be trying to access these. Don't open them up. Don't even think about these things. This is just another way to open up the door to these fallen beings for them to access your body and your mind and your spirit. I'm going to talk about crystals, guys. I basically had one of these big things in my house, and all these crystals I used. I would also go and do chakra crystal massages and meditations to open up my chakras. I don't advise any of this stuff, guys. You have no idea how dangerous this stuff is for you spiritually and mentally. It's ridiculous. Another thing I'm going to talk about is a huge part of my New Age experience was utilizing psychedelic drugs in order to make the communication easier with the spirit guides. Okay, so I would use mushrooms, marijuana, ecstasy. I was even almost to the point where I was starting to look for DMT, because in the New Age movement, it's almost renowned as this spirit molecule, as you see here in this book, and it's supposed to make you have this huge awakening. Guys, it's drugs, okay? And if your mom didn't teach you when you were young, you need to realize drugs are bad. It's just plain and simple. It's not more hard to figure out than that. And these drugs would have a mystical experience, so I would feel all at one and connected with the universe, and then it was very easy to communicate with these being guys. So definitely, if you're having any of these experiences, message me, let's talk about them, because you're being deceived, okay? And I've been there, and I know what it's like to be deceived, and you really don't have an idea. The dangers, guys, that we're going to talk about the dangers of using all this stuff. Not in the very beginning, but at the end, guys, I started to experience a little bit of sleep paralysis. So I would be laying in bed, and I could just feel these evil presences all around me, and it was so frightening that I wasn't even able to move. Okay, so I had a lot of prayer and calling out on Jesus Christ, Yeshua, to come to my rescue and help me, and that's how I was liberated from these experiences. Also, they would always attack my mind and everything. So guys, before you get to this point, don't attempt any of the stuff that I've talked about in this video. And beware of dangerous people like psychics and witches who lie to you guys, okay? This woman is a pure liar, just hands down a liar. She's a witch to begin with, guys. She communicates with spirits who are lying to her. She has a spirit guide called Francine. It's not a spirit guide, it's a demon. She'll say that she can talk to your dead relatives. This is to play on those feelings, because you obviously do miss your dead relatives, and you're using that hurt that you have to suck you into these evil things and teachings, guys. So be very aware and have nothing to do. That's why the Bible says have nothing to do with these individuals. Also going to be heavily talking about the New Age Jesus. There's a Jesus who is not the true Jesus, and he's in the New Age. He's a quote-unquote ascended master, and he's just the reincarnation of Buddha and the great avatars. So we're going to put this parallel to the Jesus of the scriptures to show you that this one is false, that he's not true. I went around telling Christians for years that they didn't understand Jesus, that Jesus was an ascended master that achieved enlightenment and this and that. And the funny thing is I turned out to be wrong. And now I need to go speak to those who had the previous same belief as me. People that are going to be pushing this New Age movement right now is Oprah, okay, right here, A New Earth, okay, so look at that, the New World Order, the New Age, Eckhart Tolle, this guy is a renowned spiritual leader in the New Age movement, okay, so don't buy into this stuff. David Icke as well. Guys, a lot of good truth comes from this individual. I don't want to discredit any of that from him. But the main thing is, guys, this guy uses, he's used, like if you look here, this is major occult looking, all about the energy and everything. And he's even used ayahuasca, and he communicates with spirit beings called the guides. Okay, so just like I communicate with spirit beings, this individual is communicating with spirit beings. He doesn't know. He's deceived. Nothing against him. But we need to be aware of the New Age movement and how it's infiltrated everywhere, even in the truth movement, guys. And I'm going to be showing you symbolism about this New Age, New World Order that's coming, guys. This is from the Denver airport. We see the whole world running towards the light of Lucifer here. And we have Christians in the coffin. Okay, so they're going to eliminate Christians in order to bring this about, guys. And they want us dead, okay? And we're going to talk about that. I've got some information here from Barbara Marx, who talks about basically the annihilation of all Christians. I definitely want you to research this. She talks about killing every Christian in order to bring about a better world. Okay, so these are sick people, and we should have nothing to do with them. So guys, that was my brief introductory video to this channel in the New Age movement exposing section. Look so forward to sharing this, and I'm going to be going to Chris White on the Revelations Radio Network, and I'm going to be talking about my testimony and everything I went through in the New Age, and I'll post that up as soon as I go and do that. But until then, guys, do your own research on these things and let God lead you in the right direction. So this is Mario, and I am going to continue standing for what is right, even if it means standing alone. So God bless you all. Take care.